Okay, friends, now as you can see, I have sharpied my landscape, and now I'm going to change it into a watercolor painting. Okay, so to do that, I've got my markers ready. I've chosen some blues, some reds, some yellows, but if you just have a 10 pack of markers, that'll work too. Just your basic primaries and secondaries, you'll be fine. You will need a brown and a black, okay, and maybe some greens, and if you have it, turquoise would be nice. Okay, so we're going to use that, and now we're going to add the color to our watercolor. Now, in order for this situation to work, okay, what I don't want you to do is go ahead and color your picture. I don't want you to color your picture. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to outline things. I want you to outline shapes. So, for example, let's start with our sky, okay? Now, with my blue, here's what I mean. I'm going to outline the edge of our paper. Outline the edge of the paper, and even right here, right above our mountains, outline. Now, I am going to stop right here. Okay, I'm not going to touch my sun because yellow and blue will make green, so we don't want to go there with it. So I'm going to leave that spot open. But the rest right here, I'm definitely going to bring it over. Okay, just do what I'm telling you to do. And then I'm going to make a few little clouds. Right, some clouds in the sky, maybe just two. I'll leave those white. And if you have it, if you have like a pink or something, I'm just going to go like this a couple of times. You'll see why in a second, okay? So we'll do that, okay? See, now here, what's going to happen is when it's all done, I'm just going to show you why I want you to outline and not color, just so that you know. With your Q-tip or your paintbrush, or if you don't have either, you could use a piece of washcloth. But now make sure that you're not ruining a good washcloth because you might get in trouble. But just the edge, the tip of a washcloth, right? What would happen is you would tap it into some water, right? And when the tip of that washcloth gets wet, you're going to rub it on your paper. Now, these markers that we have, the kind that you get from Walmart, they are washable markers. So because they're washable, we're going to use the fact that when they get wet, they bleed. That's called bleeding. And by allowing them to bleed where we want them to go, then it becomes like a fake watercolor. So you can use your washcloth or a Q-tip. Q-tip works nice too. You just wet it. And then you go over and you just rub the color, and when it bleeds, move that color into the white area. You see what I'm saying? Move it into the white area. Now I added a little red or pink to my sky to get what's called a vanilla sky. You ever seen those kind of purplish pinkish skies? That's called a vanilla sky. So we're going to create a vanilla sky. I think that's a little bit more interesting than just like just a regular blue. Okay? With watercolors, you allow the color to do what it wants to do and bleed and blend just like that. You see? Okay? Now we're going to let that dry, and maybe let's work, while that's drying, let's work down here so we can come back up once this area is dry, okay? So let's work on our water. Again, I'm going to take my blue, and watch what I'm going to do. I am going to outline the edge of my river. See? The edge of my river. And again, remember, you don't want to color it in. You want to outline it, just like this. Now, I like to use the fat side of my marker. Don't use the skinny part of your marker because it won't leave you with a fat line so that there's enough marker to bleed. So you have to use the fat side of your marker. Okay, now because there's currents, you know, the way the water flows, I am going to put like a scribble down the middle. Remember, don't color it in. And because we get to blend with this, I've got a turquoise. If you don't have a turquoise, that's fine. But I have a turquoise, so I'm going to use my turquoise. And I'm just making some more of those scribbles because the water has some turbulence. It's not like just flat. Okay. All right. And now, even with my paintbrush, I'll show you with a paintbrush. You wet your paintbrush, and then you go back. See, when you rub the marker, it's going to bleed. And when it bleeds, fill in your water. Now, another thing. Don't totally, especially if you're using like loose leaf paper, don't like saturate the paper with so much water that you like make a hole. It's almost like with your Q-tip or your washcloth or your paintbrush, you want to like tickle the paper. Tickle it so that the marker will dissolve, but it doesn't make a hole in the paper, you see? So I'm gonna, and you move kind of fast, right? So I've used blue and turquoise in my water. That's what I've used in my water. But if you don't have a turquoise marker, that's okay. Just use regular blue. Okay? So I'm rubbing that in to fill that in, just like that. Okay. All right. Now let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a time out and I'm going to outline all my spaces. And when I return, I'll show you what I've done.